Welcome to the Content Supply Show. This is a show where we bring together entrepreneurs and experts all across the internet, especially those who are bringing tons of value to the world from behind their computer to front of stage. We break down their creative ideas, strategies, and stories that guided them along the journey of entrepreneurship so that we can all learn and be inspired together. Today, I have on someone pretty incredible. He's a really cool guy. His name is Mike Arce. He is a business owner, an entrepreneur, speaker, coach, advertising professional, and he owns Loud Rumor, which is a 7-figure advertising agency for fitness studios and independent gyms. He also hosts a top fitness business video podcast called the GSD Show. So Mike has a pretty interesting story. It goes back, obviously, many years, as it does for many of us, to around 2010, where he was formerly a personal trainer and seen some hard times with his business. The market was low. Starting a new family, both he and his wife found it hard to have a job, to get jobs, and to pay rent, really. And so they started Loud Rumor back then for the purpose of just being able to get by to begin with, to provide for his family, and to simply pay rent. And in the past 7 years, it's really evolved to what it is now, which is a 7-figure business. For a while there, they had about 40 solid clients, which was great. It kept them in business and being able to pay rent like his initial goal was. But of the many things that helped define and help him grow his brand even quicker, one of many aspects was the ability to niche down and to focus. And what they focused on was servicing fitness studios and independent gyms. So by doing that and listening to the direction of business coaches, they focused, and after 18 months, they grew from around 40 clients to over 500 clients. So you can learn so much more about Mike on his website, www.mikearce.live, or his agency website, loudrumor.com, and also his coaching website, youragencycoach.com. So before we get into the interview, let's chat Content Supply. Content Supply is a creative content as a service business where online brands and entrepreneurs can subscribe to a monthly supply of custom content to grow their business. So content like video, podcast, image, and blogs. This content is custom built to fit into 3 phases of your marketing experience. So 1, free content on social media. 2, paid ads. And 3, content used for paid programs, memberships, or funnels. We're all limited on time and resources to produce all the content we want and need to support our customers' journey from point A to point Z. Content Supply helps supply the filling of that gap. It's like the PB&J between your bread of your product or service and the bread of your funnel or your conversion tool. Go on over to contentsupply.com to learn more. So now let's get into the interview. Mike, thanks for being on the Content Supply podcast today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So let's step back however many years it may be to why you started Loud Rumor to begin with. You and your wife had the conversation. You had all these things leading up to it. Why Loud Rumor?
Well, we started it for a year before we actually did anything with it. We started it November 1st. There was a cousin of mine that was a web designer, and we thought it'd be cool if, maybe she can do the work. She doesn't like to sell or market, and I don't want to do the work. I just like to sell, market. And so we worked together on it. Had a lot of hiccups along the way because neither one of us really had business experience at the time. I mean, I had a personal training company before, but other than that, not really in this space. So we were making okay money. We were doing good. And I think because we were doing good, we didn't actually take severe action on growing the business. Then my wife got fired twice during the same pregnancy, and the economy was at its all-time low in 2010. And so she wasn't going to get another job because she was like very much showing. And I personally, my commissions were going down because everybody was canceling. The economy was at its worst. So we decided, we're not going to be able to find a job. Businesses are closing. So the only way we can do something is if we open one. So that's kind of how it started.
Crazy. So you were a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Was sales always a part of your personal training business, like sales and marketing? Did you have much experience there, or was it all just like you threw yourself into, like, jumped in and went all in and learned?
Well, I always knew sales was important because everything I've done before that, I've had really great managers and coaches in the past when I was an employee.
Yeah.
All of them really coaching me on how important sales is to a business. And if you get really great at sales, everything gets easier, and sales solves all problems, which obviously that's in the right context. If you have customer service issues, obviously sales is going to solve that problem. But the main problem is if we don't have money, if you can't find great people or hire great coaches to help build all that, because you don't have the sales coming in, then you're going to be screwed. But if you can make sales, with us, we've made so many great sales and a lot of sales over the last couple of years that it allowed us to have the margin to pay people to be better than what, if we didn't have that money. And also we were able to hire coaches, go through courses, go through trainings, go to conferences. So in a way, sales does cure all. So yes, I always valued it, and I love doing it because I see how important it is.
Solid. So then in this process, so the market was at the all-time low. You were losing clients in personal training. Your wife was having a hard time keeping a job. You guys were starting a family. With starting Loud Rumor, if you can narrow it down to like one thing, what was the one thing you wanted to accomplish? Like, what was your big desire? Was it to provide?
Not be broke. No, I didn't have a vision. Dude,
Yeah.
I was really broke. So I didn't have, we had a baby on the way. We had $500 in savings, and we were losing $1,500 a month after this month. So I didn't have like a vision where I want to build this big thing. I just wanted to pay our bills and be able to feed the baby. That was it. Then once we realized that this could become something, we started setting bigger goals. Wow, if I could just make $5,000 a month, if we could just get to $10,000 a month, if we could just get to $15,000 a month, and next thing you know, it just kind of mushroomed. And now our goals are much, much bigger, right? So, but yeah, that's kind of how it started. It wasn't like this big vision at all. It wasn't like I just needed to die, basically.
Well, it was just simple livelihood, really. I mean, it was kind of went back to family, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So how that was back in 2010 that all this happened? And so 7 years later, I imagine your family's grown, your business has grown.
Mm-hmm.
What did you attribute the growth to? Like, what were the strategies, or what were the steps that you feel like were really defining for you guys?
So I've been answering this question wrong for the last year and a half, and I feel real bad about it. Yeah. And I thought it was the right answer because for me, it was the one thing, but it's not the one thing for everyone. I started realizing that because people started asking me to coach them. And so I coached, like these 4 guys one-on-one one girl, 3 guys that they wanted to build up their agency like me. And I said, look, this is the one thing you got to do. This is what I did. Because for me, it was that one thing. And we pushed them in the direction of niching, finding one specific focus of who you're going to serve and what you're going to do for them, and that's it. But out of the 4 people, 3 of them weren't getting anywhere. And one of them was, but 3 of them weren't getting anywhere. So I started looking at, like, what is it that these 3 have that this guy doesn't have, or vice versa? What are they missing that this guy has? And I realized that this person over here, the one that's doing well, he actually has business sense. He's pretty educated. And when I say pretty educated, he doesn't have an MBA. I don't think he even has a college degree. Neither do I. But he reads and he understands the different pillars of the business, between not just sales and marketing part, but the culture and developing people and finances and creating processes and systems to be able to run more efficiently. Whereas these 3 people, they just kind of started their business and they niche. So for me, I was actually getting a lot of coaching, and I was spending a lot of money in business education to learn how to run my business better. I was reading tons of books. But the problem is I didn't have that one thing, that tipping point. There's a really great book called Tipping Point. that allowed me to unlock it. So once we focused, then it was like everything got to play. All those things that I learned got to play. And that opened my doors up. And same thing with this one coaching client. But if I would have, let's say, focused in 2011 or 2012 when I didn't have all that, I would have hit a wall the same way. I would have probably gotten a few more clients than I did because, you know, that attracts when you niche, you get more clients. But I would have had the same issue where I wouldn't have been profitable because I wouldn't have great systems or processes in place to be able to do more with less. I wouldn't have known how to manage my money. I wouldn't have even had budgets and caps on things in order to keep me focused. I wouldn't have strategic partnerships where I can leverage my existing audience to create other additional incomes for me. I wouldn't have great people, nor would I be able to learn how to develop those people into greater people so I can do more with less. There's so many things that I didn't realize I picked up along the way from really great people and mentors and coaches that, you know, I thought just didn't work for me, but they did work. I just needed that one thing to unlock it. And so there wasn't one thing. There's never going to be one thing. It's like saying, what's the one thing that makes you a great football player? There's no one thing that makes you a great football player. There may be one thing that you do that makes you stand out amongst the other people, but the fundamental 90% has got to be there. You know?
So it's not narrowed down to one thing, but I guess one aspect of your growth was niching down.
For me, that was the one thing.
But it's
you talk to another person that's already niched and they're struggling.
Yeah.
For that person, it could be knowing how to find, hire, and develop great people so I can get out of the business and work more on it and not in it. Mm-hmm. So that's a question I want, you know, everyone to be very careful because, you know, you may not have the same one thing that I may need. Shaq didn't need to get great at threes. Shaq, his one or two things, he needed to be able to rebound and stop people from scoring on the inside. Steph Curry doesn't have that one thing. Steph Curry just needs to hit threes. You know, he doesn't need to block or play defense. So everyone's one thing is going to be different. You, at overall whole, both Shaq and Curry know the game of basketball, which if you're an entrepreneur, you have to know the game of business. But then what your one thing could be is different.
Totally. And I love that answer too, because it caters to how each person or each agency, each business is different. And that's what gets me interested in. You mentioned how you got your coaching, you have your clients, and I've got a little 1-year-old and my wife is just taking out. Hopefully he didn't scream during it. How many kids do you have, by the way?
I have 4 kids.
You have 4 now. That's great.
Yep.
So you mentioned coaching, and one thing JT mentioned to me too is that your agency coach that's the title of a new or evolving you guys are doing, right?
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
So like I told you, we had people randomly come up to me asking me for coaching, and I picked 4 because I saw potential in the 4, but we had a lot of people, because I'll get on podcasts like yours and then people in your audience will say like, hey, can you show me how to do that? Or I'm stuck in my business. Yeah. But it's coaching one-on-one is not scalable. It's it is if you want to, you know, make 5-15 grand a month or something like that, or if you want to charge a lot of money, but you're going to have to get less clients, right? So for me, it wasn't really a scalable thing to where we can do like $20-30 million. So what we decided to start doing was create a course and several courses supporting the course to help agencies. And so I can do this almost like in an online lecture setting. You see people like Harvard, Harvard does it, Yale does it. So many colleges have online courses now to be able to teach people how to do things from point A to point B, and then point B to point C, right? Like there's English 101 and then there's English 102. And there could be the same thing for what we do. So our programs aren't designed to help people start an agency. There's plenty of people out there that have that. They're great. Ty Lopez, Billie Jean, all those guys have really great programs. What we want is to be the next step. So now that you know how to start a program, maybe get a client or 2 and get them results, how do you build a scalable model? And what are the things you need to focus on as a general sense in business so that you can bring on the right people, so that you can have great systems and processes, so that you can have consistent marketing that brings in sales for you, so you can increase retention, get more referrals, get testimonials, and so that you can manage your money the right way, so that you're building your business like a business and not like a hobby that you talk about like it's a business.
Yeah. Well, and it's, with that being said, and you talking about businesses not necessarily having one thing, how do you help through the coaching program for these new or evolving agencies to not necessarily find their one thing, but to kind of to niche down or to find the tools and strategies that work for them, that are custom to them? Is it that you provide kind of a whole blanket of resources to use, or do you let them kind of pick and choose?
So in the basketball analogy, we talked about, Shaq and Steph Curry. So obviously they have different natural abilities. Because they have different natural abilities, it's different. And in the business world, it doesn't mean that you're going to be more of a shot blocker or you're going to be a three-point shooter, right? But what it means is you as a CEO, you may have different strengths. So for example, I like selling. I like marketing. I like coming up with new ideas. So for me, that's the type of CEO that I am. But I have people on my team, the leaders on my team, if you look at them, they're very organized and systematic, and they love building processes and making things work better. So that's my thing, right? Shaq is the shot blocking. For me, it's the sales and marketing. But for some other CEOs out there, they don't like being in front of the camera. They don't like selling. They don't like even learning about it. They like creating great products and things that deliver tons of value. And so for them, they need to hire people that can do the sales and marketing. So you just have to find out what your strengths are and build a team around it. But as far as like, do I help somebody find their one thing? They already know what that is. It's more of, it's a recipe. Starting with doing what I'm doing isn't rocket science. I'm not a genius by any means. I'm actually not even that creative. What my goal is, every time I have a new coach, which I have coaches all the time, I have 2 that I work with right now. I've had up to 4 at once, but I get specialty coaches. I don't get like a business coach. I get like a Facebook ads coach. I get a YouTube ads coach. I get a branding coach. So I get different coaches, but I work with those coaches, and every single one I talk to, I say the same thing. I'm going to be your best student, and you're going to make me the first testimonial you show people, the prospects, so that you can get them to want to sign up with you because they know what's possible. That's my goal. And so, and I guarantee you, I sit you down in front of any one of the coaches, except for Russell Brunson, because I just started with him, but any one of my coaches, they'll tell you that I am their best student and the one that they use in testimonials. So for people coming into my program, the deal is the same. Like, this is a recipe. If you cook, if I give 10 people a recipe for Thanksgiving on how to make this turkey and this stuffing, and you follow the recipe to a T, you will all end up with virtually the same turkey and stuffing, and everything tastes virtually the same. However, if you all stray, I'm not going to add in the salt. I'm not going to add this in. I'm going to focus more on adding pepper and less garlic. Well, if you do that, you're not going to come out with the same turkey. Now, here's the thing. It might turn out a little better. It probably is going to turn out a little worse. But the point is, there's a recipe that works, and all I'm doing is following recipes. That's all I'm doing. And now all I'm doing in return is giving people the recipe that I've gotten, and it's worked for me. And all they have to do is follow the recipe. And if they do, it works. If they don't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I like that too. And I've found getting deeper into the world of masterminds or coaching, or, having those business connections to grow. It's all about putting in, formulas is a taboo word, because I think sometimes people can assume that A plus B equals C, and it won't work for every single niche or every single brand. But it's true though, there are specific formulas and recipes that are proven. And I think ClickFunnels, for example, is one of those processes that is proven. It's proven to make people money with the right kind of funnel. And so, in fact, I have recently joined a mastermind too through Julie Stoyan, who's also in the Inner Circle with Russell Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a lot of growth and potential that come through masterminds. And I'm really interested to see your agency coach and how that evolves. And it's all about, as you mentioned too, tapping into things that are scalable. Because I think, as I'm sure you've experienced with who you interact with, I think there are business owners who reach a wall of not being able to scale anymore. It's whether you're tapped out as building an agency model, not necessarily your own products or coaching programs, or maybe it's the inability to.
No, there's no one reason you hit a wall. There's no one reason you hit a wall. There's several reasons you hit a wall. You don't hit a wall because of like one thing or two things. You hit a wall because of many things. Because I have so much still to learn in business. There's people out there making billions of dollars. Apple's about to be like the first $1 trillion company. And you've got people like Elon Musk that have like several $1 billion companies. I'm like not close to that, right? So I have so much to learn. There's so much I'm doing wrong compared to Elon Musk. There's so much I'm doing wrong compared to all these great entrepreneurs. So there's not one thing. Like I'm doing probably 80% of things poorly. So you just need to do a few things right. You know what I mean? I guarantee you in 3 years from now, 5 years from now, after I've had all these coaching sessions with other people, they're going to be great. So I'm constantly getting coaching and I'm constantly stepping up who I coach with. I'm going to look back at today and I'm going to say, I can't believe I did it like that. I can't believe I thought like that. I can't believe that was my main way of getting clients. I can't believe that's how I spent my money. I'm going to say that in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. So there's not a few things that you might be doing wrong that's stopping you. That means you're probably not even doing one or two things really, really well. That's really what it comes down to. Because you could be messing up 80% and at 20% could do really well for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I mean.
It does. Well, and the way you said that too, especially at the end with the 80 to 20%, it goes into
the 80-20
strategy side. Yeah, it's like you should be investing only 20% of your time and resources into the creation of content and 80% plus into the promotion and the distribution of content. Otherwise, there's no return on content value or the effectiveness of it.
Right.
Yeah, no, it does definitely make sense. And I agree. And I think whether you're being coached or the coach, there's a full circle, I think, learning opportunity there where through coaching or through teaching, you're relearning or reaffirming things you already know or need to reteach yourself, or you're realizing that you have, you're deepening your knowledge on certain materials. And same thing on the receiving side is there's never a cap to what can be learned and applied. And I think the pace of business, especially now, I think with what the internet is providing, is that you constantly have to be adapting and learning to keep up. I think, and so I think it's super interesting. And I think with Loud Rumor and the fact that you guys are niched now to specific to fitness pros and gyms, that is, I feel like, a big indicator to the growth and success you have had. Not to pinpoint one thing.
No. That is it. Finding the more you can focus, the more you get great at it. If you just focus on playing guitar with a pick, right? That's super niche playing. Like you could say, I want to be a musician. I want to play guitar. I want to play acoustic guitar. I want to play acoustic guitar with a pick. If you do that, you probably won't even know how to play with finger picks. You can only know how to play with a pick. I play guitar. And so, but you get great at that much, much faster than somebody that's like also wanting to play the piano and also wanting to learn this at the same time because you're focusing. So anything that you work on, if you just work on free throws, you're going to get great at free throws. If you just work on helping the fitness industry and marketing, you're going to get great at that. So anything you work at, you'll get better at. We all know that because that's what we tell our kids when we want them to get better at something. So, but we just don't do it ourselves. We try to do everything. And so I think niching is definitely something that a lot of successful people do. And I've taken a page from that book from my coaches and mentors, and I had enough coaches and mentors tell me I needed to do it. So again, wanting to be the best student, I did it. And for the first 6 years of our business, we only got 42 clients. And then the next 18 months after that, we got over 500, right? So 6 years, 42 clients, 18 months, over 500, right? Like literally 11xing your business in a fifth of the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's definitely a value to focusing. Absolutely. And a great book on that is Built to Sell. That's a great book.
Built to Sell. Solid. Well, if you could sum up this 7-year plus journey building Loud Rumor into how you define success, I mean, what is success for you personally or as a business owner?
So, okay. So a lot of people don't say, okay, so I'm going to tell you the cliche thing.
Yeah. And then tell me the real. No.
And then I'll tell you the real thing. And the cliche thing I'll tell you right now, it's not the truth as A, it's the truth as B. So here's what I mean. Everybody will say, I just want to help people, or I want to help 1,000 people. I want to help 10,000 people. And it's like, that's really cool. Of course you want to help people. Most people don't want to make money feeling like they're ripping people off. Everyone wants to make money knowing they help people. But at the end of the day, you need a score. And so for me, I want our companies to make as much money as possible by helping people. I'm not making helping people first. And I know that's what everyone says to do. Help people first and the money will follow. Of course, everything we're doing for that is, but for defining success is how much money we're making, because that means we're helping people. People are telling other people. People are staying our customers. People are buying more stuff. So that's the real result. You don't take sports. You don't go, man, I judge success in the NBA as a basketball player. I judge success by how many fans we make happy. No, you judge success by how many wins you have and if you won a championship. And if you didn't, then you probably didn't make any fans happy, or not as much. And the further you are from that goal, the less fans you've made happy. You probably lost a lot of fans. But the more championships you win, we've got a lot of fans from other teams. So the goal is to, for me, get your company to the highest revenue possible with the best margins possible while helping people, right? It's doing it ethically. You're helping people. And then that's your scoreboard for that. And that's how you should play. And you should every year, you should make it higher and higher and higher. And if you're not doing it, then you're not successful. I know what I'm capable of. You know what you're capable of. Everyone watching and listening knows what they're capable of. And so you should be doing everything you can to hit capacity. And if you're not, then you're being selfish, because you could be helping more people. You could be creating more jobs, and you could be donating more to charity. I guarantee, I can tell you right now, I donated more charity this year than I made in 2010. So in 2009, 2008, when I wasn't doing my best, that's selfish, because I chose to sit on the couch and watch TV over doing something that could donate as much money as I did today. It's so funny. People think that like, what do you call it? Like rich people, they think they're greedy, right? And they tie that to, oh, why do you need that much money? This guy's making $2-3 million a year. Why do you need to make that much? What do you do with all that money? That's what people say. What do you do with that money? Like a lot of things. Donate a ton of money. Help a lot of people. Create a lot of jobs. Start new ideas. There's a lot of things you can do. How about this? What can you do with a $30,000 a year income? Nothing. Pay your bills. And that's it. And you know you could do more. Almost everyone out there could do more than $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year. But you choose to do less. That's fine. You wanted to sit on the couch, so you did it. You wanted to watch TV, so you did it. You didn't feel like reading the book, so you did it. So who's greedy? Sounds like you got everything you want. You know what I'm saying? So whereas the other guy's making sacrifices, the other guy's up all night, the other guy's like, working deals. The guy's losing all his money 2 times a year, going bankrupt twice a year in order to make something come to life. And then he's giving a lot of it away. So I think there's a real bad perception out there in what's real. Yeah. So success for me, making as much as I can, doing good for people, and then giving a lot back.
Yeah. Well, and I like how you qualified that answer to be like, there's the cliche and there's a realistic answer, because I think people focus on the cliche, which is more
Because they think it sells.
it gets the sell.
Because it's marketing.
Yeah, it's totally marketing.
But here's the thing, my business is to help businesses. And so while I'm marketing to get customers, I'm also hurting them. And then I'm not actually giving good service because I'm getting to believe that that's how they should think.
Yeah.
And so I can't ethically deliver good service because I don't believe that we do this because we want to save the Dolphins. Here's the thing, if it's because you truly want to save the Dolphins, then great. But most people are saying they want to save the Dolphins and they could give a shit about saving the Dolphins if it doesn't make them money. And they really want to make, so I think there needs to be a lot more honesty.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care. See ya.
So that about wraps it up for the show today. Thank you so much for listening. The fact that you're able to drop into this conversation, hopefully be inspired through the stories and ideas shared here, is pretty awesome. So I'm a huge fan of relationships and getting to know more people. So if you have thoughts about the show, want to leave a review even, have questions about Content Supply, or just want to connect anyway, you can find me across the socials at Dallin Need. And of course, go on over to contentsupply.com and check it out. Thanks again. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to share more here at Content Supply. See ya.